Okay, so let's start our conversation about building community for e-commerce businesses. We have three fantastic experts with us today who are going to share their insights based on their own business experience and their professional expertise. First, I'm thrilled to introduce LaToya Ratlieff. LaToya serves as the Director of Grants at Hello Alice, overseeing the distribution of over 66 million in grants for small businesses. Drawing from her decade of experience in corporate community investment and the nonprofit sector, she holds a dual master's degree in nonprofit management and public administration from the University of Central Florida. She is passionate about voter education, youth advocacy, and food security. LaToya actively serves on multiple boards and initiatives, including Read for the Record and Operation No Food Gap, while driving transformative changes through innovative grant programs and strategic partnerships. Thank you so much for being here, LaToya. Wonderful. And next we have Rahana Rashid. Rahana is a senior social media manager with a keen understanding of the evolving social media landscape and executing online digital storytelling. She leads the small and medium business strategy for FedEx across multiple global platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Twitter. It's great to have you here, Rahana. And finally, we have Rosa Valdez. Growing up in Southeast Los Angeles, Rosa experienced anxiety and depression without knowing how to name them. Even after earning a master's in public administration from NYU, she saw firsthand how mental health stigma, especially in the Latinx community, kept these conversations in the shadows. Through Educated Chola, her brand, Rosa is working to change that by sharing her personal journey and creating space for open, honest discussions about mental health. She is on a mission to help others embrace their struggles, challenge unrealistic societal pressures, and redefine success on their own terms. Wonderful to have you here, Rosa. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into this conversation because we've got so much good content to cover. LaToya, I want to start with you. Why is community building so critical for small e-commerce business owners?
Well, thanks, Brittany, initially for those amazing introduction. But this is such a great question. And I want to talk about something that's rarely discussed in the e-commerce world. I'd say that's not discussed enough. And it's a genuine challenge of professional isolation. Despite having access to global markets and so many digital tools, many small business owners find themselves always having to navigate these very critical decisions alone. And there are studies that show that 70% of e-commerce entrepreneurs report feeling isolated in their business journey. And I'm sure as many entrepreneurs that are a part of this conversation can attest to, feeling alone means that you're kind of making those decisions by yourself, that you are kind of questioning if you're making the best decision. And it's like, even if you're being a rock star, it's always great to have someone to bounce those ideas off of. And particularly it shows that isolation actually impacts business performance. And that's because companies with strong connections show that a 23% higher growth revenue. And that's 1 in 4 entrepreneurs just by having these connections and having their peer-to-peer networks will see a 23% higher revenue, which is amazing. And one of the examples that I can think of is that we do, particularly at Hello Alice, we have a significant amount of small business owners, and particularly we have over 7,000 recipients that have either received grant or access to business accelerators. And one of our grant recipients, she ran this amazing skincare business, but she also struggled with pricing strategy and inventory management. And there's just not a ton of resources out there that really can get into the nitty gritty of those details and how to help. But she was able to join one of our boost camps through one of our amazing partners, and she discovered other beauty brands that were having similar challenge. And through those kind of partnerships, which is something that I think is amazing, they actually joined this kind of check-in group. And for throughout 6 months, they kind of dedicated time to monthly being able to check in with each other. They had WhatsApp groups where they were kind of helping and providing ideas. And even one of the entrepreneurs basically said they were just sharing when times were getting hard, especially because this was around the holiday time. And after we did kind of an inventory, a survey and check in with them, many of them reported that they were actually seeing a reduction in those inventory costs, and they attributed to just being able to have those shared logistic solutions and also have the camaraderie. And when you think about how this impact, it actually extends beyond operations. We're seeing entrepreneurs that are collaborating on holiday promotions, as I mentioned, sharing shipping resources, entrepreneurs that are actually sharing sales managers. So basically, you have the sales managers that will promote your product as well as promoting three other entrepreneurs' products or many other. And it's through those particular opportunities that you see this very significant growth, not only for your business, but also in regional sales, especially if you're attacking it on based on who's within your market. And particularly through our partnership with FedEx, we're seeing how this community support transform opportunities. We're seeing business owners that are connecting meaningfully with their peers, and they're not just sharing problems, but they're co-creating solutions that benefit the entire overall ecosystem.
Oh, that's so, I love the data that is associated with being in a community for e-commerce businesses. So, like you said, the amount of success and even just seeing it's not just about feeling more connected, but those connections really do help you run. It sounds like a more efficient and successful business. Thank you, LaToya. Um, okay, my next question is for Rosa. Rosa, how has building a community within the mental health space shaped the way you run and grow Educated Chola?
Yeah, so I don't have all the data like LaToya, but I'm grateful for her for the data, um, which I do love data. So it's definitely something that I'm looking towards too. And one day would love to have Educated Chola be a space where I can gather all of that data. So that's something that I am working towards forward, and I would hope for in the future to have it be a space where I can have all that mental health data for not just the Latinx community, but for other communities. Like I am trying to make it be a space where all that data is held, in aiming to create a platform where we can have resources for being able to go there to get, I don't know if all of you have heard of Latinx therapy. They have a platform where you can go and search for therapists there for just, obviously the Latinx community. But I want that to be in my website too. But off topic. But yeah, in terms of how the mental health space has been shaping the way that I run Educated Chola, it's mostly through gaining trust through shared experiences. Um, I've done so through sharing my personal experiences in my personal struggles, through medication. It's not just a business of a transaction. I make people feel seen, validated. It's really about, like, I can't be shy about, you know, oh yeah, I have a mental illness. I can't say, oh yeah, I have anxiety and not tell them, oh well, yeah, take this medication, or I've never gone to the doctor and told them I had this experience and not, share this minor bit about it. I have to be open about it. I can't hide that, basically. Um, it's really a word of mouth. So whenever someone comes to my booth or when I've done shows or events like that, like I have to be open about it. You know, I can't do my business without letting them into what's going on in my mind. I think if I did that, that'd be something that would stop any kind of growth or people sharing my business word of mouth. And that's really what's kept my business going, even online. Um, and I think that's what brings it into the community, the authenticity. Um, about it. I'm so willing to talk about it that I think that's what resonates with people the most. And it's not just staying in the Latinx community. I have people from all types of backgrounds come and tell me, like, oh, that's also in my community. Asian people, Black people, everyone comes up to me and is like, oh, yeah, that also happens to me. They have brothers or sisters, parents even come up to me and tell me, oh yeah, my daughter also just started this medication, and I want to support her, so I'm buying this sticker from you because it's going to make them feel better. Or um, I'm buying these pill earrings that you have because like they just started this one other medication, and I don't want them to feel like I'm isolating them because of that. So it's really come to continuously being open about that. And then sometimes it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe now I'm now taking this other medication back in the day. So it's really being continuously open about my journey and even things in the past that have happened, while not being afraid to, you know, uh, not being afraid to, being shut down from others to, uh, like, I know my business is particularly a little bit forward than others, because of the fact that I tackle medication as a part of mental illness, and a lot of funders, aren't very open about that. So um, I have to be mindful about that in the future. So um, I know that's something very tricky to handle. So um, it's a space that's difficult to navigate.
Yeah, I do like what you said about, bringing your own personal experience into it and building that trust as a way to kind of build the community. Okay, Rohana, my next question is for you. How can e-commerce businesses use social media and online platforms to foster a sense of community among their customers?
Yeah, thank you, Brittany, and thank you for all of our attendees today. I love being able to speak directly to small businesses and learn and discuss just different challenges and opportunities that we face online. One of them is just fostering community online when you're not in person or directly face to face to your audiences or customers. Fostering an online community for a small business is incredibly important because it's all about creating a space where people feel connected, valued, and engaged, and a space that's authentic in that. There are many ways to do so, and social media is one that's really cool. I'm obviously passionate about social media, and I get to do this for a living, but it's an excellent tool if you're not already there. I'm sure most of you are, but leveraging your social media is key. All of these platforms are free, and then nearly 93% of internet users are flocking to social media or on these platforms. So not being afraid to dip your toe in or jump into TikTok, the Instagram meta apps, Instagram or Facebook, and then using those platforms as an integrated way to kind of tell your story or to get in touch with your audiences. So use lifestyle channels like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok to kind of have more fun with your audiences, and then think about using the more polished channels like LinkedIn, Facebook, et cetera, or Pinterest even to kind of create thought leadership pieces or to engage in a more professional tone. Or in a longer tone, and if you're looking at YouTube or longer video or article forms, different things. So there's a lot that you could dive into, and I'm trying to just give it all in a nutshell, so forgive me there. But how do you do that if you're new to it or if you're timid in this space? And there are many ways to do so. One is to not be afraid to get in there, like I mentioned, and then have a strategy. Think about what you want to communicate, or think about moments in time or key campaigns that you want to highlight. You don't have to be present on every channel. I know I just listed off a ton, but think about where your audience is going to be and engage in that way consistently and thoroughly, and like I mentioned before, with an authentic tone. Now, the algorithms and things on social media, obviously, they want you to stay connected in the app as a business owner and as a creator. They also want their audiences to stay engaged consistently on those apps. So think about how you want to tell your story or how you want to deliver or communicate your product or service, and try to lead with that lens. Think like the app or think like the algorithm. And I know that sometimes can be difficult to do or to wrap your head around. Right now, video is key on social media. These short form videos are killing when it comes to content. So they're really delivering messages, and they're amplified more in terms of the algorithms and the amps, and kind of pushing that content out to further audiences. So if you are traditionally sharing infographics or even flyers on your platforms, think about creating video. And if you're not comfortable with putting your face on screen, that's totally okay. There's tons of ways to do to focus on video as a medium to communicate your needs. You can also create Facebook groups or target. I think Rosa was mentioning she works with business owners in her community. So if you can either network online in different social network platforms to just create some community online that you can spitball ideas or have a sense of relativity to your peers in your local community, or if not in your local community, take your industry and see if there's photographers in your industry or small business owners that are in your same industry, and just kind of brainstorm on ways to create content or to deliver messages. There's also virtual events that you can host online, and encourage interaction with your audiences with either polls, contests, challenges on social media, asking for user-generated content, which is really key, and I can talk about that in a little bit. Or create or collaborate with like-minded brands, influencers, or businesses. But yeah.
Well, there's so much that comes into play when it comes to social. I think you did a great job of giving us like the kind of high level and where we can use different platforms to help us grow that audience. I think you're right. Videos are really kind of hitting it off, and I like that you gave options for how people can get involved in that, regardless of their level of comfort. Because not everyone wants to be all online all the time. Okay, Rosa, my next question is for you. What strategies have you found effective in engaging and growing a loyal customer community?
Okay, I'll be more concise this time. So definitely storytelling, which I think I was mostly aiming at when I was talking earlier. Definitely makes you more vulnerable. That's really what my brand is about. It's a shared experience. We healed every single time I talk to people. I always want to cry. That's inherent with my anxiety. It's something that I always like, oh, I literally know what they're going through. And I see myself in their journey. Secondly, it's in-person engagement. That's the one thing I do love about doing events. I'm not doing them as often as I am before, but in-person engagement, I think, is the best form, even if I know this is for e-commerce, but when you can, I would suggest trying to do in-person events, even if it's, networking, going out there to, going into events maybe that you're not participating in, doing like small workshops, or going to pop-up shops that you're not in, to meeting other vendors. Those would be great, just to see like what's out there, not necessarily like the competition. I feel like there's room for everyone. People ask me like, oh, aren't you like intimidated by that? I was like, no, no one's really doing exactly what I am. And also there's plenty of space, and I have my trademark, so I'm not really like offended or anything like that. Want to do something similar, go for it. And if it's way too similar, then I got the trademark. Thirdly, I would say talk about mental health, normalize the mental health conversations. That's how we're going to get through it. Thirdly, I would say have a curiosity-driven approach. That way you're starting those conversations, creating that two-way conversation to sell your products. That's how I've gotten into other boutiques or shops that I'm in right now. I'm in one coffee shop right now, and then two other, well, I guess they're still kind of coffee shops, but they're also boutiques on the side. One's like a two-way boutique. They just happen to be in a coffee shop. But that's just how you get into them, by talking to them. I've met them at also at pop-up events, just continuously talking to people. I'm continuously talking to everyone, inadvertently thinking about, oh, how am I connecting with them? Not necessarily in the mindset of, oh, I'm creating money, but I'm like, oh, how am I connecting with them? In the general sense of how am I going to get my mission through to them? How am I going to get my mission to the world about mental health? How am I going to get mental health out there for my community? So just having that overall thought process of how am I going to get this help out there to people and how to get the message through. And just mentioning that the being authentic over the strategy. So just keeping that in mind, those would be the methods of, keeping the strategies to being effective.
Yeah, so many good nuggets of advice. I love what you said about kind of building those authentic connections and seeing other people in your own journey and using that to leverage relationships, and also that curiosity driven approach. That's so powerful to be curious about why people are interested or what they're looking for, can really create pathways, it sounds like, for you to get your products in other businesses and also just connect with people. Very, very cool. Thank you, Rosa. Okay, LaToya, my next question is for you. What are some intentional networking practices e-commerce business owners can adopt so that they can connect with their peers?
Oh, that's another amazing question. Something that I would just very, very confidently say that building a strong business community as an e-commerce entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, whether you're in e-commerce or not, it requires intention. You have to be dedicated to making this, whatever you're doing and how you're going to go about building these connections, making it successful. And when you think about businesses that are successful, they do have these networking activities are kind of intertwined in their business activity. And I think just from speaking to other business owners, from doing some survey and impact reporting and doing these panels and amazing webinars like this, there's consistent approaches that I think actually resonate and can help you kind of go through that. And one of the things, like I was just mentioning before, is actually treating it as a business function and dedicating time and resources to doing this on a consistent basis. And whether that means every other week on a Tuesday, you're blocking out time to connect with people, or once a month, it can be multiple ways that you can do this, and even contributing to online discussions, attending virtual in-person meetups, or just simply having one-on-one calls with business owners. Treating it as something that is directly tied to your success as an entrepreneur makes it something that you can create, that you understand the value in it, but also something that you're constantly dedicating time to do. And within that, another thing that I think is important is make sure that you, as you're building these connections across these platforms, is that you're diversifying these connections. Understanding that you don't always have to just connect with an e-commerce business. Like if you are e-commerce business that sells pet supplies and you just only want to connect with e-commerce business that sell pet supplies, you don't have to do that. There's a really great way that maybe you're connecting with businesses that are local to your area. Maybe you are a solopreneur and your goal is to be able to go into a corporation corporation, so you're connecting with individuals that are a part of corporations, or maybe you're a just getting started. So now you're going to connect with the business owners that's been in the game for 20 years. Building those kind of cross-functional connections are so important because it's one of those things that it's like that multi-channel approach. It leads to partnerships in different ways and can help you expand. And some of the things I think about is even just the partnerships there. For instance, and I'm going to provide an example of some of our small business owners because I love our small business owners. We had a program that we did, and one of the individuals, this was kind of, she had just gotten into entrepreneurship for a couple of years. She'd never really done the networking, but through kind of this very dedicated virtual community that was set aside specifically for the type of businesses that she was running, she was able to connect with a few other small business owners. And she actually kind of set up with them. And I think it was like 3 months or so, she joined this kind of this in-person, I guess it's one of those in-person conventions. And because of that connection, she felt not only confident to do it, but she actually had the connection to be able to figure out what was the best one to go. So those connections are so important. And then a part of that is understanding when those connections will bring you valuable. You and also understanding and not just value to you, but value to others. Something that I think is so important, especially in entrepreneurship, because so many of you are solopreneurs and so many of you are kind of hitting this game alone, whether it's through bootstrapping or whether it's no one in your family, no one in your life is ever being entrepreneurship. So creating kind of this reciprocal relationship is what I would say. And it's where you're pretty much sharing your expertise with other people. Like we're sitting on this call today and thinking about all the panelists. We don't know everything. So you're able to talk to me and I have this information of working with small business owner through capital, through accelerators, but then you're also learning about marketing and then you're also learning about real-time experiences from other entrepreneurs. So when you have that opportunity, share that information. Maybe you're really great at social media. Maybe you're really great at sales. Maybe you're really great at starting websites. Share that information with other people and build those very value-driven relationships because not only does it help the other entrepreneurs, but you're going to find out that it's helping you because through that process, you're going to learn other things. And also you feel good about yourself when you're able to help someone else. And I think lastly, the part of it is just being consistent about it, being consistent and being authentic in what you do. As I said before, spend the time dedicating to doing it. And when you think about this networking opportunities, don't look at it as an obligation, but look at it as an investment because you're never going to harm your business or harm your time if you're connecting with entrepreneurs that can either provide you value in the direction that you're looking to go into, but even someone that can simply say, I'm exhausted and this is hard. And you can say, yes, it is very hard. And thank you for being able to have this space with me to share that.
Oh, I love that so much, especially like when you said looking at connecting with other business owners is as integral to your success. Like it is a part of being successful as a business owner, and then also kind of creating that community where you can just say like you said, this is hard, or hey, I had this video blow up. Have you tried this hashtag? Or just having those folks around you to kind of support you changes the game. I love that. And I love the small business owner examples. I think that's so helpful. Rosa, okay, so as an online business owner, how have you managed to strengthen ties with your local community? And maybe what role has culture played in that for you?
Yeah, so for myself, I see social media being kind of like a digital plaza. It's a space where I can engage my brand and also uplift and share it. For me, one of the, big opportunities was being able to get into the LA Times. Like I've, when did I think I would be able to do that? It just happened and I was able to be at a pop-up event. Um, I was doing my thing. The LA Times writer came by and she was like, I love what you're doing. And I'm doing it was the gift guide for that year. And beyond that, she still was like, I would still love to do a piece on you afterwards. And I was like, oh, she's not going to reach out or anything like that. And she still reached out afterwards. I was like, oh, okay, she wasn't kidding. So it was nice to be able to be seen beyond that, for something that she was like, yeah, like you're different. Like it's not something that's spoken about. She particularly liked that I was focusing on something beyond just like, the typically spoken about like therapy and, self-care on that spectrum. But being able to do something like that, I was like, oh, like, we don't get that opportunity often. So that was one of like the big things that, I was able to share on my social media. But I was also able to express and talk about my culture because it is very stigmatized. We still, even to this day, while you see, members of Gen Z, being more open about it and be like, yes, I'm going to get I'm going to talk to my therapist and whatnot. I still see them come to my booth when I do events and they're like, oh no, like I still don't, tell my parents or anything like this specifically. So it's still an issue. Um, so that's where the culture part of it comes into it, where I'm not just selling the products, I'm still selling their identity. I'm selling their like nostalgia into it. I have one of my stickers. It's like I don't if all of you all know, I don't know, but it's a marzipan. The rosa de mazapan. Um, I can send you a picture of it, but if you Google it, it basically they break basically easily. So it basically says that um like sensitive as like a marzipan in like Spanish. So I just made a version of myself for it, to sell as a sticker. It also has a t-shirt and a tote bag, but that's the version that I'm selling for mental health, on my site. So being able to like transform that for mental health and for my generation, also for Gen Z, um, being able to translate that is like, you know, it's uh it's an honor. And being to continuously able to share that as like, you know, anytime I do anything, I consult with my friends or I consult with my sisters just to make sure that it like makes sense. I don't ever want to do anything that might come off as, insulting or not relevant. In addition to that, I'm also, very grassroots. Like I don't really use any other forms of marketing. Like I'm a one person team, as LaToya mentioned, like I don't know any of that. Like anything that I've learned it myself, like Google is my best friend. So Google everything, everyone. I'm happy to share it for anyone that have any questions. It does make me happy to share all of it. Not afraid to not share it. So open book for anyone that has any questions about anything. Um, but I am aware of many hats. But yeah, from like my background, if it helps, yeah, and ChatGPT helps too. Um, but yeah, like my family, like we're a family that came from selling at the swap meet, and that's their entrepreneurial background, or that's our entrepreneurial background, and that's how I know that that was their small business. And whenever I go and sell at a pop-up, I call it the bougie swap meet. So um, that's where I see my culture intertwining with this now version of the like uh, pop-up market, that I see and like how it's intertwined into the local community. But overall, I think it's great. Um, and we'll see how it goes in the future in terms of like the how the pop-up market continues to go right now. I definitely do see it going into more of e-commerce like in the future.
So many good points in that. And I love how you started with that story about getting into the LA Times. Congratulations, by the way. And just how that came from being open, sharing your story and doing what you do, and then just like kind of staying in it. It kind of circulates back to what LaToya was saying about, continuing to show up in either in-person events or building those online communities, because there are online networking events as well, and being continuously showing up and connecting with folks. I love that. Thank you so much, Rosa. My next question is for LaToya. How can participating in local events or collaborating with local organizations help specifically e-commerce businesses grow?
So that's really good, because I think there's an interesting paradox in e-commerce, and it's that your business can grow globally and you can be known, all across the country, all across the world, but there's still so much value in creating those kind of local opportunities. And the intersection of local engagement and digital commerce presents very, very unique opportunities for that growth. Kind of in my experience, whether it's through Hello Alice leading its entrepreneurship programs, also volunteering and being on boards, I constantly see how those local connections are kind of catalysts for that broader business expansion. Being in your local engagement, it kind of builds credibility in ways that your digital presence alone cannot. It really creates this kind of opportunities for these real world testing of ideas. And I love how Rosa mentioned that she talks to her sister and she talks to the people that love her most. And there's really great reasons behind that, because one, they know you better sometimes than you know yourself. And two, they can be honest with you, because a stranger may not be able to always tell you, hey, online is not going to always tell you exactly what you need to hear and how you need to hear it. And also, it's great for your family to be like, yes, you're amazing. And it's also great for your own community to be like, yes, you're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. And can you also do this? So it's like it gives you kind of this immediate feedback and also that authentic relationship building. It's nothing that's very surface level. It's something that these people truly, either they know you through your business or they know their community, they know how you're impacting their community, or they know how much they want you to be a part of their community. And these local kind of connections, they become this, like I said, the foundation of broader expansion. And I think what's particularly powerful about local involvement and how it differentiates from your online business is that when customers know there's a real community behind who you are, behind your digital storefront, it also creates, again, that layer of trust and authenticity. And it's hard to replicate that online. I have some amazing online businesses. Honestly, I'm an introvert. I shop online all the time. But some of the products that I go back and I repeat, it's not just because I love their products. It's because I see them on social media and they talk about their life. They talk about the things they're doing. They talk about those challenges. And that authentic relationships lets me know that there's a human behind this experience. There's a human that loves what they're doing. And there's also a human that cares about me as a consumer.
Well, I love that so much. It's just shows how important it is to like keep that conversation going and wherever you can plug it in and wherever you feel comfortable on social media, in person, it all kind of adds up. Rohana, the next question is for you. What practical tips you have for e-commerce business owners looking to maintain strong customer and professional communities over time?
Yeah, I think it's key for long-term success in e-commerce. And before I dive in on the social media aspect of it, I do think it's important for our small business owners to just have some practical tips here, and that's with community management. So making sure that you own some segment of your own customer base or customer data. So in the event that an app or a platform is no longer accessible or used by the majority of the audiences that it once was, make sure you have some kind of database of emails or information that you can touch base with your customers again. So don't just put all your eggs in one basket on a social media platform. Try to have some kind of ownership there that you have and keep in your own separate database. The benefit of that is that you can then have personalized offers, loyalty programs, personalized communications, emails, things like that, that you can always kind of have that relationship build with. And then you can also layer in the social media. Now, social media is a lot of fun when it comes to engagement, and I want to dive in here because I do see some questions in the chat on platforms and actual use cases for creating content. I mentioned it on a higher scale earlier, but what does it look like to create compelling social media content, and how does that really translate from industry to industry? It's going to be different. The platform that you utilize is going to be different based on your market and your target audience. It's also going to be different on what kind of communication or story you want to tell. If you want to tell a longer, kind of more polished piece or story, you might want to focus on blogs or YouTube videos or short form articles or even article shares on Facebook or LinkedIn. But day in and day out kind of lifestyle content that's always evolving and changing, but also always engaging and kind of gets that quick attention snap. What does that look like? And so I'm going to dive in on a few of just some ideas that you could maybe partake in or experiment with, and then see what works best for you and your audiences. So these can be day in the life concepts. So it's a day in the life of a small business owner, or a day in the life of one of your employees, or day in the life of a customer coming in to just, coming into your shop or to use your product or your service. How-to videos, whether that's highlighting your product or highlighting your specialty. And then things like unboxing or boxing, those product videos are those detail shots are really captivating for online audiences. And again, if you remember that I said video and short form video, those are key. So what happens with short term video is users often repeat their views, which also kind of promotes you within the app, because it seems like people are interested in your content. So think about that when you're looking at creating video and thinking, oh, well, that no one's going to be interested in that. They actually will be. It's satisfying content, and it's content that has the opportunity to go viral. I'm not promising that you will, but it's that opportunity to grow your viral ability. Other things that you can do are your customer testimonials or employee testimonials. So asking people to use their own voice to speak on your behalf. So these could be reviews, these could be testimonials, these could be spotlight videos of your longest employee that's been with you, or your history too, if you're a solo individual. User-generated content, or UGC. This is key. So this is asking your audience to create content for you, whether it's images with the product or images of them shopping with you, or video. Again, video would be key. Maybe you do a giveaway and offer, send us a video of you using our product, or share or tag us with a hashtag or an @ mention, and potential to win, whatever that may be. Just kind of incentivize that UGC so that you can then start getting your product or your business name or your brand in the hands or the audiences of users that are already on the platforms. And then just have fun on social, because it is a fun place. Social has changed and evolved from being an information share for most of the lifestyle channels. I'll say it's changed to more of an entertainment platform. A long time ago, it used to be more information share, and people would be promoting heavily text-heavy content or flyers. Then it kind of changed to sharing personal information. So you might see, oh, I'm out at dinner and I'm going to take a picture of my plate. And now it's more of entertainment. People want to escape reality and kind of get into just having fun on social. So don't be afraid of that as a brand or a business. Get into that conversation. So how can you do that? You can look for key moments in time. So even look at national holidays. Today, for example, is National Nutella Day, and a variety of other days too. So you can Google. I think Rosa mentioned Google as your friend. Definitely use Google. You could Google what is today, and maybe there's some kind of fun play that you could tie into some kind of relevant moment. When you do that, make sure you're using hashtags or engaging online with things that are already out there about whatever it may be. With today, if we search National Nutella or hashtag Nutella on the apps, we might get some fun content. Well, as a brand, you want to engage and be in that same conversation, because again, it's just going to boost you amongst the app and the algorithm. Some other content that you can do is behind the scenes content, which is very similar to day in the life. But if you're already doing product shots or an advertising shoot, or you have a media day with the local news coming in, maybe set up a tripod if it's just you, or ask an employee to just grab a few stills or short videos where you can get some behind the scenes content, and then you can also layer that in to have a fully integrated campaign. If you ever are in the opportunity where you are highlighted by media, or you're partnering with other businesses, or you're working with other organizations in your community, always ask if you can collaboratively share or cross promote across social. So tag those entities. So today we would tag AOF, and we would tag at FedEx, and we would tag the other businesses mentioned, and that's just going to grow your exposure online. And I do see a few notes in the chat about what tools or resources are out there that are free. Personally, I'll give you some of my own recommendations that are free resources for small businesses. Hootsuite and Sprout Social have really great resources, and I'll drop some links in there. But dive in. Don't just look at the main page. Really see where you can dive in on those and look at all of the tools, because there's so much that you can talk about in social media, and you can really laser it in and focus depending on the need or the ask.
Oh, so many good tips in there. And I know someone's like, do you have recommendations on delegating or where to start? I think we have a really good article on finding the right platform for you, but I think the takeaway is that there are so many opportunities for what kind of speaks to you most in your business or what you're trying to do. So I love that. There's so many good, helpful tips. And I love connecting with the other businesses or connecting with National Nutella Day, a day I can get behind truly. Like having those, it builds trust, right? Because if I'm like, oh, I want to buy Educated Chola, she has really cute earrings. And then I search her online and someone else is like, look at my cute earrings from Educated Chola. I'm like, okay, I'm in, like twist my arm. So, okay, Rosa, my next question is for you. So can you share a quick story from your own experience where building community had a significant impact on your business?
Yeah, so super quick, because I know we're short on time. So this one just took like about, I think like a year or two. Um, it was basically getting into one of the boutiques that I spoke about earlier. And me and this boutique owner have been like going back and forth for about a year. And for whatever reason, we both were just like not reacting to each other's messages, not because we didn't like each other or anything. We were just overwhelmed with life and stuff. And it's called Adelita's Revenge. She is in Long Beach and she's amazing and I love her. We met recently, finally, when I went to support my sister, who also interacts with all of my posts and stuff online. She's like, yeah, I interact with everything, so it gets boosted. I heard that this happens whenever you do it. I was like, thank you. So aside from referencing her for anything, she does that for me too. But yeah, I got into finally Adelita's Revenge in Long Beach because she is for Latina empowerment, cultural pride. She's all for independent creators. So aside from supporting me. She has other businesses, other small businesses in there. She's for LGBTQ creators. So she's within a small cafe She used to have a store there, but for whatever reason, she wasn't able to. So even this cafe brought her in to keep her in the neighborhood. They believed in her so much that they just wanted her there. So they made a space for her. So I will find the handle for her and share it on here. So that was my big win. But all of this happened from just literally searching and sending her a message online because I wanted to be a part of her collective in there. And that's what I've done previously with other ones as well. And I sent a message to another one, and now every so often I just tag them and we're going back and forth. Same thing. So, any recommendation, just send a message to someone, keep in touch, and it'll happen.
I love that. Just being brave enough to just try something out. And we're about to get into our final question for all the panelists, but I want to make sure that you guys have the information to stay in touch with everyone here. So Amber is going to be in the chat. Amber Riley, she is going to share some resources for you. First and foremost, where you can find our panelists, whether that be LinkedIn or their business pages, so you can interact with them there. And maybe if you want to dig deeper into the offerings of their different organizations, you can. We are also going to drop a couple of files so you can learn a little bit more about FedEx and what they do for customers in case you'd like to look into that. So I wanted to make sure that we had those available and plenty of time for you guys to dig into those. So those should be coming up in just a minute. Okay, Rahana, our last question, we're going to ask everyone, but I want to start with you. If you had to give like one actionable step to our audience that they can take today to start building or strengthening their network, what would it be?
Yeah, just go out and be active on social. That's where you're going to create a larger like fish net to bring in more fish, cast a larger net to bring in potential buyers or customers or just an audience to hear your message. So if you can, I dropped a few ideas in the chat, but if I know it's just another task or a burden, especially for small businesses. But if you can think in advance of just the next month or so of content that you could create on your time. Look for a scheduling tool. I dropped a few options that are free-based options in the chat that could help you. So you're not thinking, oh, it's just another task on my to-do list. You can do that in advance and kind of have that just crossed off your checklist. Be authentic as much as you can on social. So if you do have negativity on or customer complaint or concerns, respond to that as much as you can on Google. Even outside of the social media platforms, look at your Google reviews, your Yelp reviews, and then if you do have that kind of dialogue on your social apps, try to respond instead of delete or block customers or audiences, because you want to look like an authentic and a transparent and a solid business owner. So you don't have to have the full narrative all in messages or on screen. You can just say, hey, I'm going to drop you a DM. So sorry to hear that, or whatever that may be. But be active. Start with some videos. And again, if you can, just start engaging, going through and liking content, liking your peers and your competitors, kind of seeing what hashtags they follow. You can look at that. You can look at their audiences, and then just start spending 5-10 minutes a day just in the apps and liking, like I said, just liking posts and writing short comments that are boosting your chance to kind of just have a larger audience.
Love that. Thank you so much, Rahana. All right, Rosa, what is the one actionable step our audience can take today to build or strengthen their network?
I'm going to say reach out to your audience for recommendations of places where you should have your items, and then message them. That's basically what I've done, and maybe not necessarily ask my audience, but I literally just scout out for places where I want my items, where I'm like, oh, this is where I would shop. Um, and then I literally message them and see, if they're willing to take my items or want to have my items there, I went to a coffee shop maybe a few weeks ago and I asked them, I'm like, hey, do you guys, stock items for businesses? And they're like, oh yeah. And then they just gave me their card. I'm like, oh, reach out to this person and, we'll do that. And sometimes we do it for the holidays. I was like, great. So I need to message them. And that was it. It's pretty easy. They can say no, and if it's a no, then it's a no, and it's not meant to be. Um, and then one more thing I will say, definitely inquire about the FedEx and AOF program. I think someone here has information on that, so I'm just going to leave that there.
Thank you so much, Rosa. I appreciate it. And finally, LaToya, what is one actionable step our audience can take today to start building or strengthening their network?
So I would say, taking a concrete step towards the community building. Can you go on the internet and find kind of a local entrepreneur organization that aligns with kind of your business goals and objectives? And before you kind of sign up, before you plan to do anything, review kind of their last 3 to 6 months of activities. Find a local organization that is truly engaged, that's truly hosting, whether it's virtual pop-ups, whether it's coffee hour, whether it's meeting up, but find a local organization that is active, that is tied to what you're trying to accomplish or tied to where you're trying to go, and sign up and be a part of it. And actually spend time. And like I said, make it intentional. Spend time with them, go to an in-person event and talk to people and connect. But leave here knowing that that's so important for you to just get out there locally and start kind of talking to people and talking to other entrepreneurs.
I love that. Thank you so much, LaToya. And I see some questions about the FedEx e-commerce learning lab. Don't worry, since you're in this webinar, you will be notified in June when the application opens up. So you'll get a personal email. And I will drop the link to the webpage in case you'd like to dig into it a little bit more. But I want to thank Rahana, Rosa, and LaToya for joining us today and sharing all of their expertise and all of their insights. I also really want to thank every single one of the entrepreneurs and small business owners in the audience. We understand that time is a limited resource, and you showing up today to hear from these experts, show up for yourself. We really appreciate it. And we hope you found something that can help you grow in your business. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we will see you all in the next one. Thank you, everyone. Bye.